So, after popular demand, here is the 11 England players I have written off in Test cricket in batting order. First, we have Sir Andrew Strauss. Now, I wrote Strauss off simply because after Michael Vaughan was injured before the New Zealand Test series in 2004, I said I would rather Mark Butcher moved up the order and allowed Paul Collingwood to come into the middle order. Apparently, Mark Butcher refused to do this, so therefore the England selectors decided to bring in Strauss. Hardly me writing him off, but not exactly a ringing endorsement. The end result was that Strauss ended up playing 100 Test matches, scoring 7,037 runs with 21 hundreds. 50 of his Tests was captain, and he led England to 2 Ashes series victories, one at home, one away. The second one, his opening partner in many of his Tests, Sir Alistair Cook. Now, in 6 Tests in 2010, Alistair Cook scored 226 runs at just 22.6, with 110 of these runs coming in one innings. I said at the time I wouldn't take him to Australia, but if I did, I certainly wouldn't start him. Cook obviously went on to have one of the series of all time in Australia as England won the Ashes 3-1. Cook went on to play 101 more Tests and scored another 8,108 runs with 20 more centuries. He then led England as captain to 2 Ashes series wins. Not great. In 2009, after going into the 5th Test of the Ashes, tied at 1-1, and changes needed to be made, particularly at the number 3 spot, there was speculation that England were going to recall either Mark Ramprakash or Robert Key. I said I'd be very happy with either of them, but wasn't too sure about this Jonathan Trott character. Trott obviously came in, scored a century on debut, and solidified the England number 3 spot for nearly a half-decade, scoring 3,835 runs at over 44 with 9 centuries. Big L for me, went on to be one of my favourite players. Okay, Ian Bell. I've lost count of the number of times I wanted Ian Bell dropped for reasons of either not scoring enough runs, not looking solid enough, or generally throwing his wicket away. All told, Bell played 118 Tests, scored 7,227 runs at over 42 with 2,200 and looked bloody gorgeous in doing it. I just wanted more. That's all I wanted. Won't call that an L, I'll just call that a complicated relationship. Next, we have Ben Stokes. Now, as we saw in 2011, as he was dipping his toe into international cricket, I speculated as to what the point of him playing if he wasn't going to bowl. There have been other points when I may have suggested in other formats of the game that Ben Stokes maybe wasn't the man for the big occasion. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Ben Stokes has played 115 Tests and scored over 7,000 runs with 1,400s. He's also hit the most sixes in Test cricket history and has taken 230 wickets. Big L for Dutton. He just keeps proving me wrong, and I'm happy to see it. Keeping wicket for this side is Matt Prior. Now, Matt Prior had an indifferent tour of Sri Lanka in 2007 after making his debut. Looked okay with the bat, but sloppy with the gloves. I said I'd rather have Tim Ambrose. Yeah, Tim Ambrose played 10 Tests, scored 371 runs at just over 24. Yeah. After he was recalled in 2009, Matt Prior played another 67 Tests for England, scoring 3,449 runs at 40.1 with 600s. Big L for me. Someone who I was blocked on Twitter by is Chris Wokes. Yeah, I probably deserve to be blocked on Twitter for describing him as a medium-paced county trundler who's not up to international class. Now, granted, Wokes has done most of his good work at home, with 148 of his 192 wickets coming on home shores at 23.87 apiece. This is against 44 at 48 away from home. That being said, you can't argue with the results in England. He was the Ashes Man of the Series for England in 2023 and is one of only a few people who are on all 3 honours boards at Lord's. Stuart Broad. Now, I wanted Broad dropped. Yeah, I did. In 2011, after a pitiful series against Sri Lanka. Broad was coming back from injury and appeared to have decided he was going to play the enforcer role. Yeah, this led to 8 wickets at just under 49 in 3 Tests against Sri Lanka. He wasn't dropped against India, of course, and in 4 tests he took 25 wickets at 13.8, including 1 fifer and a hat-trick, and scored 182 runs at 60.6. All told, after that Sri Lanka series, Broad went on to play another 130 tests, taking 497 wickets at 25.8 with 17 fifers, and also scored just over 2,500 runs at 15.68. Steve Harmison. After the first 12 tests of Steve Harmison's career, he had 41 wickets at 29.63. Not bad, not terrible, but 9 of these wickets had come at 8.7 against a hapless Bangladesh team in Bangladesh. I wasn't confident that he was the man to go and lead England to victory in the West Indies for the first time in nearly 30 years. Yeah, I got that wrong. In 4 tests in the Windies, Harmison took 23 wickets at 14.8, including 7 for 12 at Jamaica, as England absolutely annihilated the Windies. All told, Harmison took 226 test wickets at 31.82, didn't always travel well, but did have some golden moments at home, especially in the Ashes in 2005 with the slower ball to Michael Clarke. James Anderson. Now, hear me out. The first 8 tests of James Anderson's career, he took 26 wickets at 34.84, including 15 against Sri Lanka at nearly 40. He wasn't great. He was not a great red ball bowler. He was a very good white ball one. Anderson was in and out of the team, mostly out, until July 2007, when injuries led him to being recalled against India in the first test of that series. After that test series, Anderson played another 172 tests, taking 658 wickets at 25.62. 86 of them came at 27.3 against South Africa, so he put those demons to rest. He took 30 fifers and 3 tenfers. Now, I may have said at the time of the New Zealand series in 2004, I just think Martin Saggers is a better option. Saggers did take a wicket with his first ball in England against New Zealand, but obviously didn't do an awful lot more after that. That's a big L. And finally, before the days of social media and before I met any of you fine folk, we have old reliable Gus Fraser. Now, in 32 test matches, Angus Fraser had 119 wickets at 29.48, including 27 at just over 22 versus the West Indies. However, he hadn't played Test cricket since being dropped after the 95-96 tour of South Africa. When Darren Gough was ruled out of the West Indies series in 97-98, I wasn't exactly thrilled with the thought of old man Gus coming back and leading the attack. Angus Fraser made me look like a prat, taking 27 wickets at 18.2 in that series, and all told taking another 58 at 22.8 before eventually being forced to retire. This is the England 11 that I have, at one time or another, written off that came back to make me look stupid. My hat goes off to them all.